Call this meeting of the Fremont County Board of Commissioners to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Norden,
Present.
Commissioner Payne,
Present.
Commissioner Bell,
Present.
County Clerk Barr,
Present.
County Attorney Jackson,
Present.
County Manager Sugars,
Present.
Planning and Zoning Director Koch.
Present.
Have the agenda before you. Any changes to today's agenda?
I'm not aware of any changes to today's agenda. Mr. Chair, I move for approval as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Norden,
Aye.
motion carries.
Consent agenda is before you, and it's short and to the point.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Norden,
Aye.
motion carries.
Staff and elected officials reports. We have a county sales and use tax report from our county finance officer, assistant county manager, Sonny Bryant. Good morning, Sonny.
Good morning.
I have the retail sales tax collections through the month of January. In the month of January, we collected $294,630, which is about $4,000 less than January of 2015. But January of 2015 was a very big month. For the auto use tax collections in the month of February, we collected $64,963, which was $2,720 more than February of 2015. Year to date, we're up $10,016 from this point last year. The construction use tax collections in the month of February were $13,609, which was $3,719 more than February of last year. And year to date, we're up $10,791. The lodging tax collections in the month of January were $7,636, which is about $600 less than January of last year. The sheriff retail sales tax in the month of January, the collections were $196,420, which is $2,704 less than January of 2015. The auto use tax collections in the month of February were $43,309, which are up $1,814 from February of last year. And year to date, we're up $6,678. And then the construction use tax collections for the Sheriff's Department were at $12,380 in February, which is up $5,787 from last year. And year to date, we're up $8,848. So we're off to a good start. Last year, we had some really big numbers, so the fact we're down a little bit in comparison to those, I don't think that that's much of a surprise, so we'll continue to monitor that as we go through the year.
All right.
Any questions for Sonny?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny. Any other staff and elected officials reports? George?
No.
Nothing this morning.
Okay. We'll move along to an opportunity for citizens to address the Board of Commissioners on items that are not on today's agenda. We have some requests to speak on items on today's agenda, but I have Lisa Himes from the Canyon City Chamber of Commerce to speak. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I don't even read this. I just wanted to let everyone know in our community, and of course, since we have such a great packed room today, about events that are going on for this weekend for the Easter holiday. There's going to be several Easter egg hunts. I know we have one at the Penrose Park and Rec Department. That is on Saturday, the 26th. Yes. We also have our own park and rec at Rouse Park. It has put on an Easter egg hunt, bounce house, all sorts of fun events. They've been doing this for a number of years and great success. And also the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce is holding their Easter egg hunt on Sunday, the 27th, because we like to be different, at 1 p.m. at the Abbey grounds. All of these Easter egg hunts will have different age events so that the kids won't have to compete with the older kids, the younger ones. And it'll just be a nice time for family to get out and have a good time and just spend the weekend together. Also, very important, this Saturday at 11 a.m. here in these chambers, the Chamber of Commerce will be hosting the legislative hour. Thank you so much to the county for allowing us to use your space. We will be having legislatures from the Colorado government that will be coming and discussing things that are on tap for this year. So the public is invited to that as well. It will be aired on Channel 191, and that starts at 11 a.m. on Saturday, the 26th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. And
Thank you.
I was going to note the legislative hour because I was possibly going to go out to the Penrose Park because they're having an Easter egg hunt Saturday, and they're cooking some hot dogs and hamburgers, I think. And I had told the fire chief I might be out there, but now I'm going to be running cameras for the legislative hour. So
Thank you so
anyway,
much. As soon as you're done, you can run out to
I've told the fire chief that. So we'll put in a plug for the Penrose Park Easter egg hunt because that is their, and we congratulate them because that's one of their events that park board is resurrecting and getting things back scheduled. So congratulations to them for doing that.
I just do have one question. Is the fire chief going to hide those hamburgers and hot dogs, and adults are going to have to search for them?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
All right. Any other citizens want to address the board on items that are not on today's agenda? All right, seeing none, move on to old business. 2 weeks ago, we tabled the request from Monty Holmes regarding the Captain Zipline Adventure Park Special Reviews Permit. He had requested a minor modification asking the Board of Commissioners to drop the requirement for dust suppressant on County Road 7 leading up to the Captain Zipline parking off of Highway 50 in the Wellsville area in western Fremont County. And there's been several email communication exchanges since the meeting 2 weeks ago, and Monty is here again. Monty, do you want to highlight, because I think you had an email from our County Road and Bridge Transportation Director, Tony Adamic, regarding the trip numbers that you shared with us 2 weeks ago and the percentages of trips on that road that he said you did not include calculations for trips in and back out. So do you want to respond to some of the issues that we have since 2 weeks ago?
Certainly. Good morning, Commissioners. And if you think I look bad, you should see the truck that hit me. I just had a knee replacement last week, so.
Oh,
And then they threw in a collapsed lung on top of it, which didn't help things too much. Yeah, I didn't realize that the counter, obviously it had to count them coming in and coming out. So that would have made our counts would have been twice that, because the customers come in, it's a dead end, they come back out. So he was correct on that. The one thing that I'd like to make a note of is that when we built this, added this aerial park, our goal was to keep people in the canyon all day long, keep them there longer, and it has worked out pretty well in that regard. I took one of the polling periods from in July when we had the big large number of people. That's probably our busiest week of the year, July 2014. And I went back and drilled down further into the numbers to see how many people actually made a reservation for both activities on the same day. And I found that there were nine parties that actually came in for the aerial park in the morning at 9 o'clock, and they stayed there, and we encouraged them to bring their lunch, bring a cooler, and then they had lunch in the park, and then they went for the zip line in the afternoon. So during this period, it was about half of the people actually stayed in the park all day. And so that would reflect our numbers of vehicles that came into the park, because instead of being 3.2 people per vehicle, they would only be half as many vehicles. And in other words, they come into the park, they stay there, and then they come back at the end of the day. So we had figured just so many reservations divided by the number of people that came in the park, and we came up with a 3.2 per vehicle number, which is very similar to the state and federal numbers for visitors. But in fact, the people did not leave. They actually stayed there all day. And so that during this one period, out of the 10 trips that we had, measured 19 trips, that was for the July 1st through 8th in 2014. We had all those guests, and it was 148 vehicles per day. There was 19 trips per day, is what we had figured. But then when we doubled the number of counter points, instead of being 4% of the total of 344 vehicles, because of Tony's corrected figures, it came to 8% of the number. But we were responsible for 19 trips a day, but during that period, only 10 trips actually came and then stayed all day and left. So there were, 9 trips, 9 groups stayed all day, so they didn't come back out. So that wouldn't be, we couldn't count those numbers as being 3.2 per customer per vehicle, because they stayed all day. They didn't come back in and then come back out and then go back in again for the second activity. They were there all day. So that would have reduced our numbers during this July period by about half the number of vehicle trips, which would have taken us back down to around 4% of the total. What we have found, when I looked over some other figures, I found that it's an average of about 1/3 of our customers stay for both activities. We encourage them to do the aerial park in the morning because it's a 9 o'clock activity. It's cooler that time of day. It's a more demanding activity, and then they have lunch and they do the zip line in the afternoon because it's a high thrill and not much skill ratio. So that has affected the number of vehicle trips, I think, quite considerably, and it is just about 1/3 of our total customers.
Monty,
Go ahead.
you've quoted some reservation numbers. Do those reservation numbers represent all of the customers going in, or are there customers that are walk-in that book trips that may not be represented on the reservation numbers?
We put everybody in the reservation system because we go ahead and put them in there. We don't take cash anymore. We used to take cash, and it just seemed to be a pain in the butt. So we end up, when they come in, we have a card swipe, and we have a mechanism to put them right into the reservation system. Because quite frankly, if they come in at 9 o'clock in the morning and they see a video of the aerial of the zip line and they want to do the zip line, we can't just think they're going to show up, and then they show up, and then our trip numbers are too large. We don't have enough guides, so we end up, everybody that comes in goes in the reservation system. We have a reservation that actually crunches the numbers. It's quite unusual that somebody would come in and just walk in and pay cash. Generally, when they come in like that, they stick around and do one of the 2 activities. They realize that if they leave, that their spaces are going to be taken.
Okay. Beyond your reservation numbers, do you have anything else that you want to argue that we did not hear 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, still haven't seen any cows on that whole road through there. There doesn't seem to be a lot of impact. I know the dust has other benefits, but we don't see anybody else on that road. There's no development along the road where we're dust suppressing. There's an extensive mining operation a mile away that creates a lot of dust.
Just off of Highway 50, or to the
US
or
soil,
to the east?
It's U.S. soil. It's Monarch Quarries and TZAC crushing operation. There's three major
How much
mining
truck
operations.
traffic are you contending comes in and out of there?
We see probably 10 trucks coming in a day and going back out. And then we don't really keep track of how many trucks come in the evening. They usually come in after a long trip. They spend the night, they park their rigs there, and then they fill up with gravel, and they leave the next morning. So we don't really count those, but I know there's 10 and sometimes more trucks a day that come in from their operations. I believe they have an operation on Taylor Mountain up near Monarch Pass, and they have another operation down in Fremont County. So they come from 2 different sites. And if you've ever been up there, you've seen the monstrous pile of gravel that they have created and continue to refine and crush. That is a big issue for the local folks that live there. There's a lot of blowing dust there, and they had a MSHA Mining Safety Administration requirement that they put sprinklers over the whole area, and we saw sprinklers up there, but we don't trespass anymore and look at their property, but it's just impossible for them to keep the dust down. Just
Okay.
huge amounts of gravel.
All right, well, our focus is on the road itself, so. Do the commissioners have any questions of Monty at this time?
Not at this time.
All right, let's hear from the department and what Mr. Koch might have to say, and if Mr. Adamic wants to say anything. Man?
We did do some research in regards to the adjacent uses in regards to the mining. We did speak with Mr. Tezak, his company. They did say that they are just stockpiling on their property now, and they have very few trucks coming in and out of that property. We tried to get a hold of the other mining operation. We were unable to verify any truck traffic coming in and out of, and I believe that's the truck traffic that Mr. Amani is expressing in that. Other than that, all the information was forwarded to Department of Transportation for their review, and Tony's letter is part of this. So,
All right, any questions of Man?
No.
Nope.
Mr. Adamic, did you want to offer anything? He's behind you, Monty.
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead. The only thing I want to say is it's your decision, whatever you want to do with this. We are going to still yet apply the gravel and the dust suppressant to the road at our cost for this year, because it is basically a base stabilization, which we don't want to lose more gravel than what we have to from the additional traffic. So
I think at the heart of the issue is, because this permit was approved in 2013, is that correct?
yes.
So at the heart of the issue is, I mean, we can listen to reservation numbers and calculate percentages and do traffic counts. The board probably needs to know just how much traffic impact has there been. Was there a spiked number in 2013? Have those numbers dropped off? Do we have any comparisons from year to year of the impact of Captain Zipline?
we take, as you know, the traffic counts there right off of Highway 50 there at the bridge. And then the baseline, first year with 2014, it did increase. When the 2015 counts were taken, it went back to about the original numbers. But that was when we had all the rain in there too, so.
Okay, any questions of Tony?
No.
I do have a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I know that you did say if we granted this to Mr. Holmes that the department would go ahead and dust suppress and gravel this year. If you did not do that, I'm curious to know what you think the implications of that would be. Next year, would it cost more in the long run to come in and to bring the road back to where it should be?
I believe that we would have to put extra gravel on it, because with the no magnesium chloride there, you're actually going to create more dust, which is the binder leaving the road.
Okay. The other question that I have for you is, Mr. Holmes is paying for dust suppressant and gravel only so far on that road. What is the condition of the road beyond that point? Because if there is so much traffic that's using it, but bypassing him, I'm curious to know what the condition of the road is beyond that point.
The condition of the road, basically from Highway 50 all the way to the end of the maintenance, it's, pretty decent condition. It's been gravelled recently. There's been drainage that's been developed almost the full length of the road. It's basically the same from one end to the other. We do apply dust suppressant almost all the way to the end of the road.
Okay.
So there are houses down there also.
Okay. And the other question I had for you is, I believe in your note to us, your letter, you had address the approximately 1,000 feet beyond his turnoff that he originally was paying for. And I believe what you had said to us was, as long as he agrees he's not going to create another turnoff, you're okay with removing that 1,000 feet?
Yes, we would shorten it to his driveway.
Okay, all right.
But would you go ahead, on your answer to Commissioner Bell, that you would plan to go ahead and dust suppress this spring, whether we forgive Mr. Holmes his responsibility, would you go ahead and do that other 1,000 feet anyway?
Yeah, we would dust suppress the whole road.
Okay.
Okay.
It was just a reduction of the requirement.
And how much is the cost of that 1,000 feet?
It would be, we're pretty close to $600.
All right. Any other questions for Tony?
No.
Okay. Monty, I think when we tabled this 2 weeks ago, and other commissioners can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a feeling 2 weeks ago that that we understand that you're making an argument that you're not contributing to all of the traffic problems on that road. We get that, and I think this board has struggled over the last 2 weeks to identify just what portion, and I understand you made your arguments on percentages. Our situation is trying to determine, under the language of your permit, just how much should be your responsibility. And I can assure you that some of our conversations have been, what could we do for you in the 2016 high tourist number season, and how will that look into the future, into 2017? How can we make an assessment to get some accurate numbers? So some of the things we've been discussing, and I think in one of the letters that went out to you was, and you addressed it as one of your responses in your letter, to do traffic counts going into your property in a high peak in July. And some of the things that we've tossed about is whether we should do traffic counts at other times of the year, like 2 or 3 different traffic counts, to try to find some common ground. And I talked to an individual up there that at that first mine that they stockpile, and I don't know how much other truck traffic comes in or out. So I think you can be assured that we haven't idly been sitting by trying to figure out a solution. We've been trying to figure out what's fair to you and what's fair to the county. So I don't know if any other commissioners want to chime in on that or not.
Commissioner, can I mention something? They took the traffic counts during our peak season, but when we look at the figures, and I made notes of that in my last letter, for 7 months a year, we're responsible for 1 vehicle a day coming in there. So that's the bottom line. It's the whole year's worth of activities, and we have one vehicle coming in and 1 vehicle going out average for 7 months out of the year. So that makes a difference.
So when does your season start this spring?
Well, we operate year round. We operate at a loss most of the year, but our season really doesn't get going until about the middle of May, when the kids get out of school. But there's several months we have 0 people coming in. We don't have anybody in January or February.
All right, and the other problem that I personally had to deal with, and looking at the history of this, was that when you made the application to the Board of Commissioners for this special review use permit, you were put under violation at that time for operating without a permit. So then you went through the process to get a permit, and at the time that we had the public hearing, we did have some neighbors saying that they wanted the Board of Commissioners to deal with dust control. And you consented at that hearing that the requirement that we placed on you for dust suppressant was agreeable. We understand that you're now before us arguing the opposite. And I guess you're saying that things have changed since 2013 when you were before us?
Commissioner, we had a traffic study done, and he was very generous in the traffic numbers because you want to see what the worst case scenario is, and everybody thought this was going to be a great big deal, and it may turn into a great big deal. That's why I think traffic counts are important in the future. But nobody knew what to expect, and then when we had traffic counts during those peak couple of weeks, those three years in a row, we got a snapshot during the busiest week of the year, and I think I can prove that the numbers were not nearly as great as we thought, but I mean, everybody thought it could be a great thing, whereas our main focus is to get people to come in there and stay all day and don't leave and have lunch there and enjoy the park, and that's what's starting to happen. But nobody knew what to expect, and that's the problem we're faced with.
All right, and I'll just say, before a motion is made, that I guess as I already indicated, I'd like to see something fashioned to deal with this 2016 season, and then something to help this board, future board, determine what to do to measure impact for this season as to whether things would change for 2017.
You know, Commissioner, I think my thought would be that I provide some more gravel for that road, not necessarily the dust suppressant, because they're gonna suppress the whole road. That road's in dire need of gravel because of all the washes we had last year. There's about 30% of that road that doesn't have any gravel. It's just where the material's been graded back and forth. So maybe I should provide a couple of 100 tons of gravel for that road this year, and then bring everything up to speed and hope that it doesn't wash like it did last year, and then we can get some traffic counts and worry about the dust suppressant if we see what the numbers are in the future.
Okay.
That's my
All right.
suggestion anyway.
Anything from the commissioners?
I have a few comments, and then I do have a motion to offer.
Okay.
My problem in dealing with all of this is relying and trusting on traffic counts because we get so many different and various numbers. And so I'm going to propose, and this is not actually part of the motion, but I'm going to have a conversation with Tony Adamic, and to propose doing traffic counts again on 3 specific days, do in-person traffic counts, because I want someone to actually sit there and to see how many vehicles are coming that turn into your place, how many vehicles are coming that continue on. And in addition to that, I think we're going to probably use counters for a week at a time. But instead of doing it in all high season, for you, I would propose doing it during the months of April, July, and October. By your own count, 2 of those 3 months are non-peak months for you. So I think that that would be a fair way to do it. So we will revisit this again early next year, but for this year, for 2016 only, Mr. Chairman, my motion is to grant Mr. Holmes a 50% cut of the cost of dust suppressant, as well as cutting off the 1,000 feet beyond the turnoff. And then we will revisit this again early 2017.
Okay, so to understand that, the 1,000 feet will be taken off, and then 50% of that,
50% of the remainder,
of the remainder.
yes,
And,
would be his responsibility financially.
and then I think he's also responsible for some gravel, is he?
Yes, the gravel is not a question.
Okay.
Okay.
And
This is
that's
just the dust suppressant motion.
Just dust suppressant.
And that's off the 2015,
2016.
well, but the 50% would come off of what was judged in 2015?
Well, for
Numbers?
this season, they're getting ready to dust suppress this spring.
Right.
Yeah, the price may have gone up on the dust suppressant.
Okay,
The cost, whatever the cost
whatever the
is,
cost
is 50% off of that.
okay. I second the motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second, and I think you understand the motion. No, he'll not pay for the 1,000 feet beyond his drive, and he'll pay 50% of the cost of dust suppressant up to that point. Other discussion?
I want you to get new tires for your vans because I want your customers to be safe.
I'm glad you said that, because we need tires, and that makes sense to me. I'm looking at the figures for April. We had one vehicle a day, and in October, we had 3 vehicles a day, so I'm looking forward to the count being accurate. I'm not trying to
So am I.
cheat anybody, but
I think that's a good
Good compromise?
and I thank you for listening to the.
All right.
Okay,
Roll call?
thank you.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And just a footnote to Commissioner Bell's suggestion for those traffic counts, we'll be looking at trying to monitor traffic coming into the quarry prior to the entrance to Captain Zip Line, as well as traffic that goes past his entryway, right? All of it will be.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We have a public hearing that begins at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to, if it's okay with the board, use just a couple of minutes very briefly to jump to a item under new business, because we've got some folks waiting on, from the Department of Human Services, on a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. So I'm going to recognize Stacy Quiddick and Kathy Kennedy,
Thank you very much.
and we'll get you out of here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us. With April fast approaching, we do have a lot of activities happening for Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. And Kathy can speak to those in just a moment, but we will read the proclamation if you would like.
Please.
Fremont County Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, April 2016. Whereas children are key to Fremont County's future success, prosperity, quality of life, while children are our most precious resource, they are also our most vulnerable. And whereas children have the right to thrive, learn, and grow to their full potential, and whereas the prevention of child abuse and neglect strengthens Fremont County's families and ensures the opportunity for children to develop in healthy, trusting families, schools, and neighborhoods, and where that consequently builds the foundations of our county and society, whereas we must come together as partners to keep children safe, ensure that the voices of our children are heard by all, and extend a helping hand to children and families in need. And whereas each of us plays a role in the prevention of child abuse and neglect, we encourage anyone concerned about the safety and well-being of any child to report that to the Fremont County Department of Human Services or to 1-844-CO4-KIDS. That's the state hotline number. Now, therefore, we, the Fremont County Commissioners, by virtue of the authority vested in this board, do hereby proclaim April 2016 Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, and in so doing, urge all citizens to join in a national effort to raise awareness about the importance of preventing child abuse.
Kathy?
So,
Good morning.
Part of what we have planned for the month of April is on April 1st, we will have a community kickoff event on the Macon Plaza at 5:15. And we will again present the proclamation and have some other events, some other activities. And then directly following that is the opening of the school art show at the Fremont Center for the Arts. So that's also First Friday, so it's an opportunity to bring those two together. And then throughout the month, there will be activities such as Fairy Tale Night, which is happening with Starpoint Children's Services. Head Start has their Safety Town, which is their annual event. So those things will be happening in April as well. We have magnets that we can pass out or leave at the table for anybody that's interested that has the information about the 800 or the 844, the hotline for reporting suspected abuse. And then we also have blue ribbons for everybody. Encourage you to wear blue ribbons. Just pin a little ribbon on your lapel. And also Wednesday, we've declared Wednesdays as Wear Blue Wednesdays. So we do have a Fremont County Pinwheels Facebook page, and we're encouraging folks in their agencies, in their offices, in their homes, wherever they happen to be, to wear blue on Wednesdays and then to post pictures up to our site so that we can share that community spirit with everyone else.
Okay, would
All
you
right.
take the blue ribbons and distribute them down here to Mr. Sugars, and we'll make sure they get to the
Sure.
to the board and staff, and anyone else in the audience that would like to have a blue ribbon.
Thank you so much for having
And the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve the Fremont County Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month for April of 2016, the proclamation.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to adopt the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. And with a word that we appreciate all of the efforts of our individual caseworkers and supervisors at the Department of Human Services and all of the other agencies that we have that serve early childhood programs in Fremont County, and it's such an important connection to be on the lookout for child abuse. And so Kathy, that goes to you and all of the people that you work with for doing a yeoman job of looking out for kids.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Hour having passed 10 o'clock, we have a public hearing scheduled. Shouldn't take too long. Public hearing scheduled on a request for CUP 16-001 Iron Mountain Gravel Pit. This is a request by Benny and Shawnee Cook to allow the open pit mining on property located about a mile and a quarter east of County Road 28, which is Copper Gulch Road, and Iron Mountain Road, and then about 700 feet north of County Road 1 in the Glen Vista area. And this is Shawnee.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you
And
guys?
good. And just for the record, this is a pit that has operated previously?
Yes, Shane Cooper had it. It was the Cooper Pit. I believe he started it in 2005.
And I think prior to that, it was a Fremont County pit.
Yes.
Okay. So a little bit of history there.
A little bit of history.
All right, go ahead.
Basically, we're just asking to use the conditional use permit. Nothing's really gonna change. I know we sent out certified letters, and we had a few misunderstandings that the pit was actually gonna be expanded, but it's not. The pit's gonna stay the same acreage. It probably will never change. BLM has no existing uses for that other than a gravel pit. I don't know what you guys, it's a small operation, it's not.
What is the total acreage?
I believe it's 9.9.
9.95, okay.
And I have, we were waiting, and I meant to give these to Matt earlier, but we were talking about an APIN and the fugitive error dust permit. I do have where the APIN has been submitted, so the application is in with the state. So if you need copies of the emails or anything, then, I believe the way that's either gonna work, it's either gonna go to the pit or it's gonna go to the crushing machinery, and that will be hired out separate, so it won't actually go, it'll go to whoever. And, if Shane does it, he has all those permits in place, so we're just waiting on to see what Denver actually comes back and lets us know as far as that goes.
Okay. Man?
All right, this is pretty straightforward. All the notifications, posting, and publication were taken care of. All the submittal requirements were submitted. Just to briefly run through, this is an existing pit. The conditions are remaining the same, except I would like to touch on number one, the term of the conditional use permit shall be for a 10-year term. That was existing. They are asking for the life of pit for that. And then just to note, item number 7, the hours of operation will be limited to daylight hours between sunrise and sunset, and the days of operation will be limited to Monday through Friday. The only thing that we were lacking, as she stated, was the requirement for the APIN and the fugitive dust permit, and it sounds like that's being taken care of. They did ask for waivers regarding the surfacing, lighting, and landscaping. This being a gravel pit, those seem pretty non-needed. Other than that, everything is staying the same on that.
Okay. Any questions of Matt?
Not at this time.
Shawnee, just for information for perhaps your neighbors in the area, where will most of this material that comes out of the pit go to?
It goes to the residents of the surrounding area. We're not hauling it to Canyon City. We don't actually do business in Canyon. So it's basically for all the residential, for
You have Bull Domingo, Cody Park, Glen Vista, Colorado Acres, so.
So by
those
keeping the
surrounding-
pit in operation, it benefits the neighborhood. All right. Any other questions for Shawnee?
No, sir.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to address the board on this particular application? Don't everyone rush. No one to speak? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for the board's intentions.
I have a motion.
Okay?
I move to approve CUP 16-001, the Iron Mountain Gravel Pit, with recommended conditions as listed 1 through 14. On item 1, my motion is for the life of the pit, not for a 10-year term. Recommended contingencies as listed, 1A and B, although it sounds like it's taken care of, I'm going to leave that in my motion. And also granting the waivers for surfacing, lighting, and landscaping.
Resolution number 13.
Resolution number 13.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt resolution number 13 to approve the CUP for Iron Mountain Gravel Pit for Benny and Shawnee Cook. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That gets us back to our regular agenda under old business for what many of you have been waiting for.
Very patiently, I might add.
Yes. This will be calling for the second reading and proposed adoption of ordinance number 1, series of 2016, regulating the cultivation of marijuana on residential properties, residential structures, unoccupied property, and requiring registration of primary caregivers in the unincorporated area of Fremont County. We have a number of people, well, I shouldn't say a number, I think 6, compared to 2 weeks ago,
6 is a number.
It is a
or
number.
5. Compare. Thank you.
Well,
That is a number. All right, I get it. So, just to bring everyone up to date, we did hear a lot of comment 2 weeks ago. We revisited the ordinance today on second reading with some revisions that were intended to directly respond particularly to some of the passionate arguments made regarding personal medical marijuana use and medical marijuana caregivers in the language of the revisions. And we posted the revised ordinance online Monday of last week, so it's been up there for a little over 7 days. And hopefully everyone had an opportunity to check on the revisions because we posted the red line copy for your review. Is there anything that commissioners or county attorney wants to address on the revisions before we hear from any of the citizens? Well, I'll ask the county attorney to quickly give an overview of how she approached some of the revision language based upon comments we heard 2 weeks ago.
Okay, as indicated in the red line copy, several typographical and word usage errors were corrected. We took out the definition for locked space, redefined marijuana plant more consistently with state statute and in comparison with the City of Canyon City's ordinance that they passed. Let's see. Taking out the definition of locked space, we added a definition for secure area that wasn't in there before, which includes partition space constructed and locked. So basically combining that into a different definition that is more suitable to the rest of the ordinance. We added a provision that indicates the primary caregiver information is confidential, not to be released to the general public since it implicates medical issues. Clarified the indoor cultivation plant limit For the outdoor cultivation, took out the minimum acreages and instead requires screening and of course a secure area, well, security basically, which is required both by state law and by the ordinance. That even if they can cultivate a few extra plants outside, they still cannot be openly cultivated or available to anybody walking by. They need to be secure so they can't be stolen or viewed by other people or smelled by other people. So we talked about screening instead of that. The biggest change was removing of the minimum acreages for caregiver cultivation on an outdoor grow. Let's see. We clarified that cultivation on vacant or unoccupied property is prohibited except for a valid registered caregiver grow in accordance with the ordinance and in compliance with state law. And I think those are the major changes.
All right, any comments from the board at this time?
I would like to hear public comment before I say
All
what I
right.
need to say.
And I would remind those speaking that please confine your comments to the revisions that have been listed, because we do not need to revisit all of the comments that we heard 2 weeks ago. I mean, what we heard 2 weeks ago was an indication that this board went back and tried to address those concerns in the revisions. So if you could confine your comments to the revisions that have been made. And so I first call Karen Hunter.
Thank you very much. And before I get to the things in the revisions that I want to talk about, I want you all to know that last week when I spoke, or the last meeting when I spoke, is the first time that I have been heard and considered in such a long time. I was truly touched, and I thank you all with all my heart. Secondly, I want to talk about your resolution 40, which was establishing a right to farming and ranching in the county. This, I would like to read the part of the policy statement that talks about the Colorado is a right to farm state pursuant to this law. Landowners, residents, and visitors must be prepared to accept the activities, sights, sounds, and smells of Fremont County's agricultural operations as a normal and necessary aspect of living in a county with a strong rural character and a healthy ranching sector. Those with an urban sensitivity may perceive such activities, sights, sounds, and smells as inconveniences, eyesores, noises, and odors. However, state law and county policy provide that ranching or other agricultural activities and operations within Fremont County shall not be considered to be nuisances so long as operated in conformance with the law and in a non-negligent manner. Therefore, all must be prepared to encounter noises, odors, lights, mud, dust, smoke, chemicals, machinery on public roads, livestock on public roads, storage and disposal of manure, and the application by spraying or otherwise of chemical fertilizers, soil amendments, herbicides, pesticides, but any one or more of which may naturally occur as a part of legal and non-negligent agricultural operations. In addition, all owners of land, whether ranch or residence, have an obligation under state law and county regulation with regard to maintaining of fences and irrigation ditches, controlling weeds, keeping livestock and pets under control, and other aspects of using and maintaining property. Residents and landowners are encouraged to learn about these rights and responsibility and act as good neighbors and citizens of the county. The biggest concern that you had was the odor. I suggest that it is already addressed here in your ranching and farming rights. The second thing that I would like to talk about as a caregiver in your county, I register my garden every year with Colorado, and I'm willing to register my garden with you. However, here in section 109, administration, and I'm looking at you because you're the county attorney, in the event of a written complaint or the request of an agent or employee of Fremont County The code enforcement or law enforcement officers may request verbal permission from a property owner or tenant to access the property and any structure on the property during reasonable hours for the purpose of conducting a physical inspection of the property to determine compliance with the requirements of this ordinance. However, the officers shall not enter upon any property to conduct such an inspection without either the permission or the property of the property owner or tenant. B, if permission is denied, the code enforcement officers to inspect any property, and the officer has a reasonable belief that there is an imminent danger to public health, safety, or welfare, or non-compliance with this ordinance, the officer shall have the authority to request the Fremont County Sheriff's Office and/or Fremont County Building Department and/or Fremont County Health Department services to conduct an inspection of the property within their authoritative powers. This reads to me like when I register my garden with you, that I will be writing off my right to protection of illegal search and seizure of my property. I'm not willing to do that, and I would like for the county attorney to take a look at this and see if there really is a model where you can limit my constitutional rights by virtue of a municipal ordinance. Thank you very much, and thank you again for considering me.
Just a comment, didn't the language include the fact that they would have to enter with property owner permission?
It does. And if there isn't property owner permission, then it goes through the normal law enforcement channel, but without permission,
Which
we don't
requires a warrant.
Hang on, it's county attorney is speaking.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right, thank you. Dick Carney? Good morning.
Hey, how you doing? Good
Morning.
morning. I wasn't here last week. I didn't know about the meeting until it was a little bit too late to drive all the way here. But looks to me like there's already a state division department set up just to address basically everything in here. And I'm just wondering what's the point? What's the point of this when you got this? These people in Denver that have been hammering out, that's their whole job, is to work out regulations, balancing users and growers, and people that are opposed to it. You know, we've got the amendment, 64 is in the state constitution. And I understand that Routt County and possibly other counties have considered similar ordinances, and they were advised by their county attorneys that it's a losing battle. This is going to cost a lot of money, a lot of time. It's going to wind up costing all this taxpayer money. The other issue I have in here is the smell. I mean, marijuana's not a bad smell, it's a flower. You know, I might not like my neighbor's roses or his wood smoke, which has got toxic chemicals in it, but are you gonna outlaw it, getting across the property line? You know, I don't see where the odor of marijuana is so offensive. But, and also, I just hate to see my tax dollars thrown away on what's gonna cost, and it's gonna be a losing battle as far as I can see. And it seems like a lot of lawyers seem to agree that it's a losing battle. Also, and specifically things that are going against this Constitution is when you say that no more than 12 plants. Well, what if I've got my wife, me, and an adult living in the house? That should be 18 plants by the state Constitution. Same thing with these duplexes and triplexes, quadruplexes. We're saying no more than 12 plants. You get 12 plants as a max there. So you've got an apartment with 4 units in it. There's only 2 people that can exercise their constitutional right to grow 6 plants each. You know, I just think I would rethink the entire reasoning behind this and what it looks like. You know, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. It looks like the laws were already on the books from Denver And this is an attempt to just take money from people, old people living out in the rural area that can't afford $250 a day or $1,000 a day for doing what the Constitution of the state allows us to do.
All right, thank you, sir. William Despain. Good morning.
Morning.
First, I just want to thank you guys for rewording our concerns. Didn't expect that. I very much agree with Dick in the fact that the state guidelines for cultivation are very similar to what the ordinance reads. There's very little in the ordinance that's not already, discussed in the state's requirements. But furthermore, the smell of marijuana is offensive to some people, and wood smoke is offensive to some people. A lot of this boils down to growers and everybody being good neighbors, keeping it out of sight and reach. And I'm here more to address them, to say that if they don't want an ordinance that reads like the last one did to be passed, handicapping law-abiding people's ability to grow, we do have to take into consideration our neighbors and other people that aren't part of the same thing that we are. So, and most of all, I just want to thank you for listening about the acres limits and the things that would truly target your law-abiding people, not the people we need to root out. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. LaDonna Green. Good morning.
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 I too want to thank you. I am extremely appreciative as an employee of a company that this is what we do. We supply people who grow things, and a large portion of our company is based in the cannabis industry. And I appreciate you listening to those growers and giving them the ability to be able to do what they need to do to medicate themselves and those that they're caregivers for. And I appreciate that. And I come on behalf of the company, and I just thank you for not only employing me, but keeping our county in the business of making tax dollars. Because we do have a large portion of people who spend quite a bit of money on this, and so that tax dollar continues to come in for us. And I just want to say thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Turner.
Well, I just want to say I'm opposed to this ordinance. Everybody's expressed sufficiently what I wanted to say, but after you made the changes, I feel like it doesn't do much more than the state constitution. And it's not really supporting tax dollars. It's a waste of tax dollars to try and defend it in court. And I just feel like, the Constitution as it is sufficient to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the Fremont citizens. Thank you.
All right, those are the slips of requests that I have. Does anyone else wish to address the board on revisions to the ordinance? Yes, ma'am. And sir, we'll hear from you next.
Actually, mine would just be to say that thank you, because I was reading through some of this.
Could you state your name?
Janelle Armstrong. Does look like you've listened to our plant count limits. That was a huge concern from a patient perspective. So for that, I'd really like to thank you for that, and even the property, because that would have stopped me from buying property in the county. So thank you for your patience and
Okay, thank you.
considerations.
Give that slip to the clerk, please. And then, sir, if you'll fill out the slip, first identify yourself.
I'm Darren Jones. I, too, would like to say thank you to everyone that listened to everybody that spoke a couple weeks ago. Madam Attorney, your wording for the changing of the fencing, allowing topographical features to be used as blockade, again, that is very kind.
I'd like to take credit for it, but this comes from the board.
It certainly is.
I'm their scribe.
Between the fencing and the acreage size of everything, that was certainly two of the biggest ones. And then I greatly appreciate Section 9 being added in completely. I feel that was certainly helping me as a vacant. And so I feel very much like the rest of those who have came up here. I do feel that you've heard our voices and listened to us. And it does read a lot like the Constitution because that's what the state gave us the right to do. So I greatly appreciate it.
Mr. Jones, let me clarify, if I recall from your testimony 2 weeks ago, you are a caregiver that raises, can I ask you what you normally cultivate for how many different patients?
I have 5 patients and I normally have 30 plants. And so the way that I have read everything in here, as long as I maintain my card work proper, sign up with the Fremont County and the state, I should be within my limits. Everything is actually, it's not fenced, again, it's 7.5 acres, but we do have them in greenhouse type thing, so they are not visible to the naked eye, even if you could. And again, it's the nearest driveway's 3/4 of a mile type of thing, and so the being able to use the geographics of the land and such is again huge.
All right, I'll have to admit that from 2 weeks ago, I found some of your comments and your veterans' patients probably some of the more compelling, thought-provoking comments that we had to absorb in relation to considering some of these revisions. But having said that, I still, as late yesterday, was still conflicted because of some of the changes that we put in. Because so as to not surprise my fellow commissioners or staff, I had put together a very brief memo at 5 o'clock yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, because now I had concerns that maybe we swung too far the other direction, trying to loosen restrictions on caregivers.
Right.
Because we did listen, and we struck the acreage, and that's why I wanted you to remind me how many plants you were growing, and because there were other caregivers here 2 weeks ago as well, and. I think the concern is that, so we revise the ordinance, but does it open the door to caregivers flaunting some of the 99 plants and what, well, hang on just a second.
Okay.
And I think the other concern I had was that, and this was raised in a letter that was, or at least I surmised, we got a letter from Dr. King that came to us yesterday, to the Board of Commissioners, concerned about a number of issues with marijuana, including the medical impact on children, and I won't go into great detail, but we had her letter. And I guess it got me to thinking about if we allow caregiver grows and caregiver co-ops with increased plant numbers on vacant land, and we talked about not having fencing. I was concerned that if as long as you're out of sight, what security measures are in place? If you've got 99 plants and nobody can see it, then we're not going to worry about it, and we're not going to have any security.
I certainly maintain a security up at my grow. I have, can't even remember the name of the disposal place, but from Westcliff, I have them drop off porta potties so that we're not just digging holes on the land and such. Human waste is probably, if you ask asked me when it comes to these large grows, and there are security, if you wanna just simply put it that way, people staying there 24/7, make sure nothing happens. Human waste was certainly the first thing on my mind. That's my property, I don't wanna go stepping in your stuff, and so, again, I pay for a porta potty to be dropped off there, very muchly to keep that out of sight, out of mind. You know, for many years, that's certainly the way it's been. You just don't tell people where you're growing your stuff, even if it's in your closet, you just don't tell them. And so, as far as security goes, I do have one of the patients that does stay up there come August, September time, once they start going into bloom. Really, it's just a big leafy plant until then. There's not much monetary value to someone that's gonna come up to that plant in June or July.
Okay, the other concern that I had was, we're saying that we did away with the acreage.
Yes.
But let's say, and what would be the minimum acreage that you would have to have for 30 plants?
I believe that quarter acre, half acre lot would be on 30 plants. Again, you could keep it well away from anyone else's structure. As far as I've been reading the city law also, I went down and talked with the city attorney, and theirs is 20 feet away from any structure as far as medical marijuana growth. And so if you had a quarter acre to a half acre lot, I don't feel that.
Okay, well here, and maybe I'm far-fetched, but I looked at our own language here, trying to think of a caregiver trying to flaunt our own regulations. So if somebody had a half an acre and was growing 99 plants or an acre, and they says, well, I'm gonna buy the property next to me and I'll grow 99 plants there, and then I'll lease the property on the other side of me and grow another 99 plants.
I believe in the state constitution, it does word that a caregiver of vertical gardens cannot have his gardens within so many feet of each other. And so,
Including co-ops?
yes, I'm pretty sure it was worded that way as far as basically stopping exactly what you were saying, Commissioner, as far as the can't just, I got my 99 plant count right here and I bought the property next to me, and look, I got my wife's 99 right here under my name type thing. I do believe that there was wording in the Constitution to keep gardens have to be so far apart
Okay,
from each other.
I'll ask legal staff, do we know anything about that?
Well, it's in the regulations that says a primary caregiver shall not join together with another primary caregiver for the purpose of growing marijuana. And then it goes on to address 2 or more caregivers who reside in the same household and stuff. So there are regulations.
Even on vacant land where there's no residents on the property?
It doesn't distinguish between them at the state level.
Okay. All right, I guess that was part of my concern. I think we tried to devise regulations that very explicitly tell what our expectations is for someone who has a dwelling on the property, but I guess my questions emerged in the vacant land issue. All right, I appreciate your candor.
Absolutely. I appreciate it very much, and I do believe that the ordinance is something that Sheriff Biker and his men will be able to enforce. If we don't, as medical patients and such, maintain our parks properly, then we are by all rights in violation of the law.
All right. Other commissioners, comments?
Yes, sir.
questions?
I have a
Yes,
few
ma'am.
comments specifically to address the line of thought that Mr. Carney started. We do understand and realize that the state does have regulations, but the state also allows local governments to create our own. And our citizens have indicated to us over and over and over again that they want local control. We don't want all of our decisions to be made in Denver. So that's why we're here today. And I know a couple of you talked about being good neighbors, and I absolutely salute you for that. The problem is not everyone who grows is a good neighbor, and they're the ones that are the reason that we're here today. I also would like to address the fact that we are not the only local government putting our own regulations into place. Canyon City allows no more than 16 plants under any circumstances within city limits. Pueblo County allows no more than 36. I don't want to be in a position of seeming to invite an overflow from Pueblo County or from any other surrounding communities. Maybe we haven't heard from them today, but trust me on this. There are many, many citizens who we hear from who are on the exact opposite end of the coin. They don't like these regulations because we haven't gone far enough. So I would like to say I once heard that the very definition of a good compromise is that no one is happy because no one gets what they want. So if that's the definition, then I think we're coming to a pretty good compromise up here.
Commissioner Bell, I was going to say the same thing because I was looking at these slips and it says opposed, and it says exactly the same reason. We're opposed because you've gone too far, or we're opposed because you haven't gone far enough.
Haven't gone far enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, hang on. Commissioner Payne, did you want to say that?
Well, just to add on to the state, on their enforcement, we've had meetings with them, and yes, it is in the state constitution, but there's also only two fellas and one lady, that at last count, that have enforcement all in southeast Colorado with all the counties. We could probably use all three just in Fremont County alone. And so with that in mind, that's one reason why we're going with local enforcement also, is to give these guys a hand for their enforcement, because there's only three of them. So I just wanted to add that on.
Anything else? Ms. Hunter, I'll give you 30 seconds.
The thing about you know that I'm a caregiver. I grow 6 patients a year for some seriously sick people. There are doctors in Denver that charge $500 for a 99 plant count. They're doing it strictly for the money. You need to go back to Denver and say, hey, make these guys declare and audit what the serious medical conditions are of these people who need to grow 99 plants. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last chance for anyone else that wants to speak. Yes, sir.
My name is Nathan Robinson. I'm a local caregiver. I just want to say thank you. I think this is a really good balance. I've actually been growing in an unoccupied area for a couple years. I do have fences, cameras, dogs. I've got a lot of money that I've invested in for security reasons. I was here in Fremont County for a little while, just recently moved up there. But I've had so many people that have broke into my place, so I've had security at my residence here in town, which is still in the Fremont County. It wasn't in the city, just right outside. So that would have not really affected me so much there, but because I've moved out of the city, because I'm tired of constantly having people jump over my fence. I actually had to put up barbed wire, electrify my fence. I've had cameras all over my place, and where I'm at now, I'm in an unoccupied area where my grow is at, but everything is locked down. I mean, I've got 3 pit bulls that are in the compound. I've got an inner and outer perimeter fence to where the dogs run around the whole, so you'd basically have to jump over one fence into the dog pit, then jump over another fence to get into the compound. And if you're brave enough, I've got you on camera the whole time. So I think that this is a great balance for a lot of people. I believe that you guys really did do your homework and really listened to a lot of us, and I thank you. One of my patients, excuse me, was a speaker last time. I wasn't able to be here, so he kind of spoke on behalf of me too. And I do appreciate you guys very much. Thank you.
I would like to ask you how many plants you typically grow as a caregiver.
I grow for 5 individuals, including me. So I range right around 70 to 80 plants on average. That's about 30 to 40 in veg, 30 to 40 in flower. That's for winter. During the summer, I do my full plant count. I give my patients half their plant count. So if they have a 24 plant count, 12 of their plants, they come out, they control They get to watch, they get to grow, they're totally involved in the whole grow. The reason why I do the half the plant count is because half of the plant count goes to pay back for whatever I need for the grow for everyone. And then the other half, which they take home, hopefully that's enough for them for the year, so they don't have to buy anything. So, and that's why I think caregivers really are more into caring for their patients than dispensaries. I hate to say it that way. But when you go to a dispensary, you walk in, you buy, you leave. You don't really get to meet the grower. You don't really get to talk much about this plant, what plant helps you, and that's where me as a caregiver, I sit down with my patients and I help them. I actually got a patient that probably wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for me growing her plant organically, or natural, can't really say organic. And I still produce the oil for her. That's what keeps her alive. And if it wasn't for that, she would have died probably 2 years ago. And so yeah, I grow about 70 plants during the winter time just because it's cold, harder to take care of. But during the summer, I do my full plant count. And at 6 people, 24 plants, that's about 144. With this regulation, the 99 plant count limit, we can deal with that. You know, like you said, there's gotta be a balance to this, and that's a good balance. It might shorten some plants for some people, but that's not a big deal. They'll still get their medicine, and that's the main concern.
I just would like to point out, there are a lot of folks who think that 99 is not a good compromise because it's way too many. So.
Well, when you got 6 people getting 24 plants from a doctor that is legally allowed to prescribe that. Matter of fact, as a caregiver, I believe it says in the caregiver bill that as a caregiver, we can adjust the plant count if our patient needs more plants or more product and it's not enough. For example, if someone's eating product, they're gonna go through a lot more than someone that smokes it, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Did I get this to you? Right here.
Clerk. Yes, sir. Fill out a slip later, but identify yourself, please.
Okay. My name is Nick Proper. I'm also
Say your name again.
My name is Nick Proper.
Okay.
I am also a local caregiver. I was debating on whether to get my increased plant count. The reason because my grandmother recently got diagnosed with shingles. I've been giving her, I'm also a marketing director for dispensary on Pueblo West, so I gave her the whole plant hemp oil extract, which also, because she was, her body denied the opioids that the doctors gave her for painkillers. She vomited, shook, could not take it at all. So I gave her the hemp oil extract, which significantly helped and with her treatment and cleared up her shingles in 45 days. The only reason why I was debating on getting my increased plant count is to make those hemp oil extracts because the allotted 6 plants for an individual is significantly not enough to make a concentrated dose for extreme diseases and ailments. That's all I have to say.
Do you grow in Pueblo County?
No, I grow here in Kansas City.
Oh, why? But your dispensary is in Pueblo West?
Pueblo West, yes.
Okay, and
My grow and work are completely unaffiliated.
okay. I guess the question I was after is why is there a reason why you prefer to grow in Fremont versus Pueblo?
Just because of the drive.
Oh, okay.
It's just a small. I only do my individual plant count along with my caregivers' plants. That's why I was debating on getting my increased plant count so I can make my own edibles and oils to help. One of my patients has a tumor that's not allowed to drive, so I have to go transport his medicine to him.
Okay. Are you okay with the extraction language in this?
Came in a little late, so I think I might miss that.
Okay.
The extraction wording.
Okay.
Again, just because the state gave us the inch to smoke some marijuana, we don't need to go run a mile and blow ourselves up.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you.
And turn the slip in to the clerk if you would, please. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Oh, now I remember the face.
Thank you. Name is Scott Strong. I live here in Canyon City.
You're not gonna.
No.
Well, I suppose I know better.
Okay. Explanation. My PTSD gets me worked up.
But we appreciate your passion.
I do appreciate you guys' passion as well, helping us out, and you guys understanding us as citizens here. I understand the need for local enforcement. I think it's a good idea. Every time the sheriffs have come out to my caregivers grow, they've always been gentlemen. As a matter of fact, one time they came out, I think they talked about his truck more than they talked about the grow. But you know, my main concern with this is that those that don't think that think that 99 is maybe a little too much, or that what we're consuming is a little too much, don't have what we have, and that's their opinion. What they're basically implying is that it's okay for us to get part of our medicine. Since when has it been okay for anybody on Medicare to get 40% of what they're entitled to? You know, or even at 60% of what they're entitled to. To tell me that I'm not going to be entitled to my medicine is one thing. To tell me that it's okay that within this wording to say that, you know, the doctor said that you're okay with having this amount. Nobody's going to be breaking the law. My caregivers abided by the law the whole time. We've had sheriffs out there. We've had enough people out there to know that he's not breaking the law doing what he's doing by providing medicine for people. At an increased plan count of over 99 plans. I'm thinking that, again, what I'm going to state is that what you guys are doing is trying to prevent somebody from breaking the law, and you're trying to prevent more ordinance onto that, understandably. But there are very few people that are going to sit up here and tell you, you know, well, I'm one of those that broke the law, and I think that this is crap. You know, so, you know, again, well, I think we talked about this last time, is that nobody's going to stand up here and say, I'm the one that's breaking the law, and, you know, and this isn't going to help. I appreciate you guys, and I'm sorry for my last outburst. I do get a lot of passion. That's the jarhead in me, you know, but other than that, thank you guys for everything.
Could you fill out a slip again, please?
What's that?
Would you fill out a slip again, please? All right, anyone else? Okay.
Rob Harper, just real quick, as an advocate for medical marijuana, and I have been for quite some time, I hope that we don't forget that the majority of people that are caregivers are very, very passionate about what they do. This is what they have decided to do to help other people. There's a whole nother side to this, way beyond the stigma of Cheech and Chong in the front seat of a van. There's a lot more to it, and I just hope that we don't lose sight of that this is important, that this can change not just our community, but the world in general. This is a big deal. It's not just a bunch of potheads. I hope we don't lose sight of that. And I thank you all very, very much for your consideration and what you've done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Yes, this is George Story. I think you're all doing a great job. It takes money to get anything done. Money has to be spent in the right places. When it's spent in the right places, a lot can be accomplished. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, we have told you about the revisions on second reading, and it's up to the board now if they want to make any further revisions based upon anything being said here today, or take action as presented.
I have a question for our attorney. She doesn't know this is coming, so I know she's always very hesitant when I spring things on her in meetings. What would the process be if we decided that we wanted to continue to have more internal discussion on this without going for approval today?
You just postpone you set it for a third reading, basically.
Okay.
So that there's still notice that revisions may be coming, and then you meet, set it on an agenda for a third reading, and try again.
One of the reasons that I'm asking that question is I know Pueblo County struggled with this for almost an even year. They had a workshop and they wrote some things, and then they had a public hearing and they got input. And then they had another workshop and they wrote some things, and then they had another public hearing. And they did it for almost a year before they got it right. When we eventually get this done, I do want to see that it actually is the right thing to do. So that's where my questions came from. Thank you.
Well, I'll just mention what I said previously. My concerns that I raised at the outset have to deal with understanding that we've made some revisions that you like for the most part, but I'm concerned that we don't open the door, because as we've said 2 weeks ago, the people that don't intend to comply with any of these local or state regulations certainly aren't going to show up here and testify whether they like it or not. So our job is to give our local authorities some sort of teeth into something reasonable, and our effort in trying to find something reasonable has been sometimes an effort and frustration, but and that's my concern about the 99 plant count, as well as the whether somebody would try to flaunt the vacant land piece to look for a way to go around the regulations.
I have a motion.
Okay.
I'll make the motion and then I'll have an explanation. I move to table this ordinance number 1, series of 2016, for a third reading on April the 12th.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Discussion.
The discussion that I would have simply is, when I came in the room today, and I still believe we've gone overboard with our changes. I'll be honest and tell you, I think that we went too far. I think 99 plants is far too many plants. And then I hear someone get up with a very good, very logical explanation of why he has 144 plants. I don't like to make snap decisions or snap judgments. I would rather sit down, have the conversation, and as I just said, make certain that we actually are making the right decision when we do make that actual decision. There are some things that we could do as a county that would allow us to set the limit at 36 plants, except in certain circumstances and conditions. And so to be as honest with you as I can be, I think that's where my mind is right now. That's where I'm going to try to head with this in the next 2 weeks.
So with that, trying to wrap my mind around it. So in that scenario, would that be, Matt, would that be an SRU, a special review use?
That's going to be up to us.
That'd be up to us? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
And your reference, Commissioner Payne, was at what point, under what circumstances you would go beyond 36 if that was the choice of the board?
99, right.
At some point, all right.
Okay.
Other discussion? No, I'm not taking any more public comment. Because if there are further revisions made, then the ordinance would be posted again on the county's website, and any new red line changes would be changes for the third reading. Everything that's well, we've already got the 99 plants in a red line, or the I mean, we're going to have so many red lines on this document. In any case, we will, if we have to underline, we will note specific revisions in a third reading document to be posted on the county website.
And in a different color.
And in a different color. There we go.
I also did consider tabling this to the last meeting in April, but we have 5 Tuesdays in March, and so it actually will be 3 full weeks before our next meeting. So it's not just 2 weeks, it's 3 full weeks. So that gives us a little bit more time.
And don't get me wrong, I think we've made progress. But I think this board needs to reach a level of satisfaction that we're in that zone to where we're not creating new problems, I think. And I think that's behind some of my concerns and the questions that I raised late yesterday.
Okay.
Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, last week we posted the proposed revisions within 7 days. I'm not going to promise you that those revisions are going to be posted in another 7 days. I would think that hopefully by the end of next week, as we approach the end of March or early April, that we would have some proposed revisions that you could review on the website. So we'll target that for you, and we'll keep the media informed as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
So next one is 14.
I'll allow, well, we'll move right along to old business item number 3. This is going to be resolution number 14. And this is a formal resolution denying the new liquor license application for the retail liquor store at 1503 Elm Avenue in Canyon City for Gilmo Enterprises. And this creates the formal findings of the Board of County Commissioners on that liquor license denial that took place 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
You have the resolution before you?
Yeah. Make a motion that we approve resolution number 14, series of 2016, the resolution denying new liquor license application for retail liquor store at 1503 Elm Avenue, Canyon City, Colorado, for Gilmore Enterprises.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt resolution 14 with the formal findings for denial of the new liquor license at 1503 Elm Avenue. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is consideration of a resolution to recognize George Sugars, County Manager, for 7 years of service to Fremont County. George will be leaving us in a matter of days now as we count down. And
Yeah, you see that smile?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And before Commissioner Bell reads the resolution, well, I'll let her read the resolution and I'll add comments later.
All right.
Go ahead.
Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Fremont County, Colorado, regretfully accepts the retirement of Mr. George Sugars as the first Fremont County Manager. And whereas George Sugars has been a loyal and valued employee of Fremont County from January 12, 2009 until March 31st, 2016, earning much respect and admiration for his extraordinary level of dedication and professionalism for the county. And whereas George Sugars provided Fremont County with his valuable and trusted expertise in county management, human resources, and engineering. And whereas George Sugars' accomplishments are many and include some accomplishments as follows: implemented organizational restructuring of county departments for efficiencies and effectiveness of county government, implemented energy conservation measures to reduce energy consumption at 4 county buildings, developed county's compensation plan for base pay adjustment concept, monitored and recommended adjustments to the self-funded health insurance program, prepared project documents and provided project management for various projects, instrumental in the purchase and renovation of the Garden Park building for public health and environment, weed management, emergency management, and sheriff's investigative unit, coordinated and streamlined the annual budget process, bringing critical budget issues to the department, directors, and county commissioners, developed Fremont County's procurement policies and procedures manual, and obtained additional federal and state grant funding for various county projects. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners for Fremont County, Colorado, hereby publicly recognizes and expresses its deep appreciation and that of the residents of Fremont County to George Sugars for his more than 7 years of devoted service to Fremont County. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be read into the record of the Board of County Commissioners as a tribute to George Sugars' service, and that the official seal of Fremont County shall be affixed thereto and delivered to him.
Okay. Well, and you want to move the formal resolution?
I move to approve the resolution as read.
And I'll second. Just a personal note that it was Commissioner Lasha, Commissioner Steele, and myself that decided to create the position of the county manager and human resources director, that George took on those joint duties when we posted that position, those 7 years ago. And I don't know if anyone has ever told you, George, but of the applicants that we reviewed and interviewed, had you not accepted the position, we would have not moved ahead with hiring anyone.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Well, I'm telling you today, because you were the only one that rose to the point of those three commissioners wanting to take the risk of creating the position, not knowing what we were getting, and we felt that we were getting somebody who had been around the block a time or two, both in county government in Kansas, as well as in El Paso County. And so we thought we were making a wise choice in hiring you for that position. So our best of wishes to you as you enjoy your retirement. He's already retired from the Navy previously.
Yes, 2007, after 40 years of, it was basically Navy Reserves, but.
Okay, and you've got family near and far.
Yes, we do. We got a granddaughter that will be celebrating her first birthday, and she's in San Diego area, so we'll be going out there in May to do that.
All right.
Got some kids here also.
And staff in this building will be having a reception for George next week before he departs, so our best wishes.
Well, thank you. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank the Board of County Commissioners for allowing me to be the county manager over the last 7 years. It's been a pleasure to work with the county commissioners, elected officials, department directors, and staff throughout Fremont County, and also the citizens of Fremont County. You know, when I came here in 2007, we just went through a downturn or bottom drop in now the economy. And those were tough times that we went through, and I know Commissioner Norton remembers that very well.
Very well.
And I recommended some cost-cutting measures to be able to be implemented, the board implemented, but those were tough times. But there's been some great times we've had accomplishing many things. And so after 37 years in 4 counties, I think it's time to retire.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
All right. Did we take a vote?
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Go down there to present.
All right. Well, got a formal presentation, George.
Sat too long.
Next item under new business is Consideration of task order B attachment to the professional services agreement with Armstrong Consultants. Armstrong is our Fremont County Airport consultant in Grand Junction, and airport manager Richard Baker is here. You haven't fallen asleep back there, have you?
It's highly likely.
Highly likely? How could you sleep through that excitement?
Mr. Chairman, upon review of the engineering fee for our project for the apron taxiway maintenance project, with talking to a couple other firms and some other airports, the engineering fee is around 21%. The engineer estimate of the project is around $300,000. And upon review of the proposal from Armstrong, I recommend for the approval.
All right, questions of Richard?
Do you have a timeline?
Go ahead.
Do you have a timeline?
Not at the moment. I anticipate probably around July or August timeframe.
Okay.
And this is our annual FAA allotment
Yes,
that we redesignated?
We have saved up for the last three years, this will be the fourth year, $150,000 entitlement money for the size of the airport and the number of aircraft we have based here. So we've carried it over for a couple of years, and now we're going to use it for this project. The total funding that we have available is around close to $500,000 with the carryover from this year also.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve task order B attachment for the professional service agreement with Armstrong Consultants.
Second.
In the amount of $63,766?
That would be correct.
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4 under new business is consideration to transfer special review use permit 00-009 to Terry Huckabee. This is, basically, this is the horse property at the Los Pinos subdivision south of Florence. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So it's a formality because you, this is at the southeast corner of Cholo Circle and Yucca Avenue. And Terry Huckabee, you want to keep that arena active, is that correct? Or at least keep it active from a permit standpoint?
Yes.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
No.
That's the summary. Matt?
The department doesn't have any concerns about this transfer.
Okay. Routine business? Questions from the board?
None here.
Your wishes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve SRU 00-009, Round 2, the special review use permit for Terry Huckabee.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the transfer of ownership of the SRU to Terry Huckabee. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks for your patience. Item number 5, somebody else who's been very patient. Mary McBroom is here. Mary's rezone extension of contingency deadline. This is zone change 13-001. Requesting a third one-year extension of the deadline. This is property in the area of Orchard and High Street on the south side of High Street. Part of that plan was to expand some storage space onto that property south of High. And Matt, you want to address this?
Yes, this did go through the process. It was approved for a fenced-off storage facility for RVs and boats and things of that nature. This would be the third extension granted. Looking through everything, we don't believe any regulations or anything have changed to require another review of this, so the department is in favor of the extension.
All right, questions of Matt? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve the zone change 13-001, Mary's rezone extension for a third one-year extension.
Second.
Motion and a second for a third one-year extension for the deadline for submittal of contingency items for Mary's zone change. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, Mary, we have to. No,
Not at
we
all.
have to quit meeting like this because this is the only time we get to see you. Have you sold? We've heard you've sold your other properties. Is that correct?
Yesterday. Very good. And so there's a little better chance that I'll be able to concentrate on getting this done. It was derailed by me working with one of Fremont County's finest contractors, and
All right. Well, we won't go any further.
Enough said.
All right. Mary, good to see you. Thanks.
good to see you guys.
All right. Item 6, a request for zone change 14-001, Crossroads Business Center zone change extension of contingency deadline, approved on May 13th of 2014, and the applicant, through Representative Dr. Angela Bellantoni, is here.
Good morning.
Representing the applicant.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here.
Well,
This fine day.
you've stuck it out for a while, so congratulations and thank you.
Well, thank you for all your hard work. This is a request to extend. As you know, Mr. Peets did work diligently last year to accomplish many, all but one, of his contingencies. And that final contingency really is a wise business decision, since because of the zone change, there are so many opportunities that can now, as tenants, secure the building. And the fire department, depending on what the tenant is, may require changes to the sprinkler system and all that sort of, those technical things. And so Mr. Peets is holding off on this one until he does have a lease. And then they'll address the fire department's requirements, test the system, and I'll come in here and say,
Done.
we're done. How's that?
So is he approaching approval of a lease? Don't know.
She can't
Okay.
say.
$1 million question. I don't know. It's a challenging property. I know he's had many lookers and lots of different scenarios, but, no. I mean, I don't know where he is with it.
All right.
Seriously.
Matt?
Once again, department doesn't have any concerns with this. We believe that the request is valid with the outstanding issue, and it is just one item, so.
All right. Questions of Matt or the applicant?
No.
No questions, but I offer
Okay.
a motion. Believing this to be good business sense by Mr. Peets and being all for good business here in Fremont County, I will move for approval of zone change 14-001, Crossroads Business Center zone change extension of contingency deadline for 1 year.
Second.
Excuse me.
Motion and a second to approve the second one-year extension of the deadline for submittal for Crossroads Business Center zone change. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item under new business, SRU 15-002, also represented by Dr. Bellantoni, Accord Trucking Terminal extension of their contingency deadline, requesting another 1 year. The trucking terminal at the Airport Industrial Park on Skyland Drive.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here. Accord Trucking, I believe what happened pretty much is the onset of winter. They had to dedicate their attentions to actually delivering the winter fuel supply and couldn't get to developing the property. But if you've driven down Highway 50, you'll see that in fact the drainage has been started. So they are making progress, and I also talked to Matt Hobby about the building that's proposed, and he's moving forward on that. So now is the time they will. They are requesting an extension, though, for 1 year.
And this isn't to call into question the need for the extension, but I thought we were somewhat urgent when we approved this because they wanted to get that terminal open and operating.
Yes, and this is Mrs. Hobby, if she...
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
That's why you've been sitting back
That's
there.
why I've been sitting here.
So peaceful and patient.
I've been trying. Our issue with getting started was getting bids from contractors to put in the drainage. We did finally receive some bids after asking multiple people to bid on it. It took us a while, and then when we finally came to an agreement, with winter setting in and the ground being frozen, it took some time to get the contractor out there to start the drainage. It is in process, it's nearly done. We're working for the fire hydrants, and as soon as that's in, we're going for bids on fencing, and I'm actually going to Oklahoma next week. I know Matt has talked to Mr. Koch about a temporary building. I'm going to Oklahoma next week to look over the buildings and come up with plans for that.
All right. Matt?
Yes, and I agree, they have started the process out there. It was nice to see some dirt being moved. The final recommended contingencies that are outstanding, all will take some time, and the department has reviewed this and finds no concern or issues with this to grant the extension.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant or Matt?
Nope.
No questions? Mr. Chair, do have a motion?
Okay.
Approve SRU 15-002 for Acre Trucking Terminal Extension for 1 more year.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve another 1-year extension for the deadline for the submittal of contingency items for SRU 15-002 for Accord Trucking Terminal at the airport. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Now we move, thank you. Now we move into a series of bid considerations for our Fremont County Department of Transportation for a lot of their summer project work. First, and Tony Adamic, our DOT director, is here to discuss these in detail, as much detail as the board wants at this stage of the meeting.
Hopefully not much. There's been too much detail already this year.
Yes, there has. All right, so for West Area Chip Seal Program and East Area Chip Seal Program aggregate chips.
I'd like to request a split award of this here. For our East Area Chip Seal, I would like to go with EWS Steel out of Pueblo, and that would be for the roads that we're going to be chip sealing in Penrose. And then for the West Area Chip Seal, I'd like to go with TZAC, and that would be for County Road 1A and also County Road 28.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the award bids for aggregate as described by Mr. Adamic.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the chip seal, or the aggregate chip purchases for the west side to TZAC and the east side to EWS Steel, is that correct?
Yes, and we will transport the material to the jobs.
All right. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is consideration for awarding a bid for asphalt mix. Tony?
The asphalt mix are recommended that we award it to Fremont Paving, and that would be a delivered product to our projects. And the projects that we have are within the Canyon City area.
Well, we don't have that many projects this year, though, right?
No,
There's some on Oak Creek Grade, or are we doing that?
there's about 2.25 miles of road that we're actually doing.
Okay. And this is to meet, and they'll produce the asphalt at the county specifications?
Yes, sir, half-inch mix.
Okay. Fremont Paving is the suggested contractor.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve the award bid for asphalt mix to Fremont Paving.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to award to Fremont Paving the asphalt bid for asphalt work this summer at a bid of $56. Is that a ton?
Yes, sir.
All right. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is consideration of bid to purchase dust guard liquid suppressant for dust suppressing roads. Tony?
This one here was a little difficult. We had to actually look into a lot of variables between the two companies. The GMCO, which is out of Florence, Colorado, they have a storage facility there that is accessible to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do not have to supply our own pump or manpower. Basically, the truck driver goes in, hooks up, loads, and leaves. With Envirotech, we utilize the yard at Colorado Quarries. We had a fee for the rail there per car, and then also we had to figure up what our labor cost and our pump cost were. That brought our price very close to being similar. With the availability and the less concern of an accident for safety or spillage, I recommend that we go with the GMCO in Florence, Colorado, loading out of their yard at 67 cents a gallon.
All right, which is about a total cost of $2,000 higher than your lower bid, but you're using the reasoning for the safety of loading?
The safety and then also the availability of the product. If we run into bad weather and we have the cars on the rail side here in Canyon, then we pay demurrage on them. So.
All right. You have the recommendation?
For GMCO.
GMCO.
Move to approve the award bid for dust guard liquid suppressant to GMCO in Florence.
67 cents a gallon.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Motion and a second to award a bid to GMCO at 67 cents a gallon for 180,000 gallons of dust suppressant. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is consider awarding a bid for emulsion oil. Tony?
We had two companies again, Kabitco and then also Suncor that bid this product. They both have really good products. Looking at our total cost throughout the county, I would recommend that we award that to Suncor for our chip seal oil, which is going to be a cationic rapid set oil. The other one listed there is an HFMS. That is the oil that we use for our patching with our patching machines on the roads. Suncor is the only vendor that supplies that product, so would recommend that we go with them, with Suncor. And the prices vary according to location.
Okay.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve the award bid for the emulsion oil to Suncor, as explained by Mr. Adamic.
Second.
Motion and a second to award a bid for emulsion oil for Suncor at the prices listed depending upon the variable locations. Other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the final bid award for tack oil. Tony?
The tack oil bid, what I ended up having to do was contact our vendor out of Denver, Colorado, since it was for a partial transport load, which increased the freight rate coming out of Denver by 10 cents a gallon. So I recommend that we award that to Suncor out of Pueblo, and that would be us picking the product up in Pueblo. And it's at $1.69 a gallon for the tack oil.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the award of bid for tack oil to Suncor in Pueblo at $1.69 per gallon.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the bid for tack oil to Suncor at $1.69 a gallon. Other discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm sure Channel 5 is waiting for an interview about the bid on tack oil.
Tack oil.
All right, we have an item, last item, consideration of a placement agent engagement agreement with George K. Baum.
That's a mouthful.
Well, this is very important because I think the voters of Fremont County need to know what this is about. Sonny will explain it in detail, but when the voters approved the sheriff's 1 cent sales tax, and part of the sheriff's appeal was that we've got to do something with the kitchen and the laundry area at the Fremont County Jail. In 2015 or 2016, we're about to get that accomplished, but through the combination of both the sheriff reserving some funds as well as a brief finance package, we're going to accomplish that. How?
So, as we all know, the kitchen facility, the laundry facility, and also the security system in the jail is failing. It's definitely overdue for an upgrade. And as the sheriff started going out for some information, trying to figure out how much those costs were going to be, we're looking at a total project cost to get all of that done of close to $5 million. And as you said, that's not something that we have been able to save up for at this point. We could either continue saving and possibly see those costs escalate, or get the project done with some type of financing option and actually be able to move forward. At this point, that's what the sheriff has chosen to do. So we are working with George K. Baum and Company, which is the organization we work with in the past on the COP process. So it's the certificates of participation. And what we're going to do at this time is look for a private placement of the COPs. So instead of actually going out and trying to sell those, he's going to try to find a bank and just do a competitive bid process to where he can sell those directly to the bank. So it's a private placement of the COPs. So we have to sign this engagement agreement with George K. Baum for him to go through that process and get us that information so that we can move forward with the project.
Okay, and the financial terms of the time?
So what we will make sure happens is, right now there's about 7.5 years remaining for the collection of that sales tax. One of the things that we have ensured is that the final payment will not extend beyond December of, sorry.
Whatever year it is.
Whatever year that is. The end of the sales tax is. So that way we're not committing to funds that obviously are
Exactly.
not
And the board
going
wanted to make that very
adhere
clear
to.
that we're
Yes.
not going to be financially bound for revenues that aren't assured to
Correct.
be coming in.
Right.
Okay.
Well, because we as commissioners go out at least once a year for an official tour of the jail, we've seen the kitchen and we've seen the laundry areas, and we know what some of the problems are with security. And in fact, we have kind of been on the sheriff saying, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? So I think it's time. So I will be more than happy to move to approve the placement agent agreement with George K. Baum and Company.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the engagement agreement with George K. Baum for the Fremont County Kitchen Laundry Security Upgrade Project. Roll call.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Just a note to the media, because part of this renovation at the jail is going to be a major disruption of daily life at the Fremont County Jail, because the sheriff is going to have to find a way alternatively to have meals delivered and laundry cleaned for inmates. So when that finally comes about, you know, in the weeks and months to come, I suggest that you visit with the sheriff, because it's going to be a major undertaking. There being no further business to come before this board, we stand adjourned.
increased plant.